Okay, so start by settling your body into a comfortable position. So if you're sitting cross-legged, you can cross your legs in whatever way is comfortable for you. If you can sit in the full lotus position, that's great. But if not, any kind of cross-legged position is fine. And it's also completely okay to sit in a chair. If you do sit in a chair, it's good to keep your back straight. If we lean back against the back of the chair, often the back of the chair isn't straight. It's curved or leaning backwards. So then our back isn't really straight. So it's better to sit kind of forward on the chair so that your back is straight. And the same with sitting on the floor. It's good to try to sit up straight. But at the same time, our shoulders should be relaxed, not tight, tense. And it's best to have the whole body relaxed as much as possible. So let's just do a quick scan of the body. We'll go from the top of the head down. And so I'll just mention different parts of the body. And as I do, place your attention on that part of the body and notice if there's tension there, tightness, tension. And if there is, see if you can let it go. Just tell yourself to relax, let go of that tension. And you may not be able to let go of all tension, but let go of as much as possible so that you're more relaxed now than you were earlier. So first of all, feel the top of your head. Relax the top of your head. And then let your awareness move down into your forehead. Feel your forehead. Let your forehead relax. Don't have it wrinkled with worry lines, but let it be smooth and relaxed. And then feel your eyes and relax your eyes, the muscles around the eyes and behind the eyes, let your eyes relax. Then relax the rest of your face. We actually have a lot of muscles in our face. When we make facial gestures, our muscles work. But now let all the muscles in your face relax. Let your face have an expression that's peaceful, calm, a little bit smiling. And also your mouth and jaw, don't have that clenched. Let your mouth and jaw relax. And then feel this right side of your head and let that relax. Do the same with the back of your head. And then the left side of your head, let that relax. And then with your awareness, go inside of your head and let the whole inside of your head relax. Let your brain relax. Let go of any tension, tightness you may have in your brain. So let the whole of your head, both outside and inside, be as relaxed as possible. And then let your awareness move down into your neck. Relax the back of your neck, the front of your neck, your throat. And continue to move down with your awareness into your shoulders, upper part of your back. That's a place where we sometimes have tension, especially if we're working at a computer a lot. And let that area relax. Let your shoulders, your shoulder blades, shoulder muscles be as relaxed as possible. And let your awareness continue to travel down through your back. Relax the middle part of your back. And the lower part of your back. Let the whole of your back be as relaxed as possible. And then shift your awareness to the front part of your body, starting with your chest. Let your chest relax. And continue to move downwards through the front part of your body, relaxing all the internal organs, your lungs, your heart, your stomach. Let the whole middle part of your body be relaxed, your torso, with all the organs and muscles in that area. And then let your awareness move into the area of your hips, your buttocks, your pelvis. Relax all the muscles and organs in that area. And let your awareness move down into your right leg. Relax the upper part of the right leg, the thigh. And then the lower part of that leg, the calf. And then the ankle and foot and toes of your right leg. And shift to your left leg, starting with the upper part, the thigh. Relax your left thigh. And then the lower part of that leg, the calf. And then the ankle and foot and toes, your left leg. And now we have our arms. So start with the right arm. Move your awareness to the top of your right arm, the joint between the shoulder and the arm. And then let your awareness move down through your right arm. First, relax the upper part of your right arm. And then the lower part of that arm. Then your wrist, hand, and fingers. And then move to the left shoulder, the top of the left arm. Let your awareness move down through the upper part of your left arm. Relax the muscles there. And then the lower part of your left arm. And then the wrist, hand, and fingers. So we've gone through the whole body in a light way, trying to relax any tension. Try to keep your body as relaxed as possible for the rest of the meditation. Try not to tighten up any part. If that does happen, if some part of the body gets tight, you can just briefly put your awareness at that place and tell yourself, relax, let go. But now put your awareness on your breathing and allow the breath to be natural. Allow your body to breathe in a natural way without you controlling it, interfering with it in any way. So sometimes our breath may be longer, sometimes shorter. That's completely okay. Our body knows how much air it needs to take in. So don't try to force each breath to be exactly the same. Just let the body breathe. And find a place where you can feel the breath most easily, clearly. It could be the abdomen, or the nostrils, or your chest. And then let your awareness stay at that place, being aware of each inhalation and exhalation of the breath, one breath after another. And if you find it hard to stay focused on the breath, you might want to count your breaths. And one way of counting is saying to yourself, breathing in, breathing out, 1, breathing in, breathing out, 2, and so on. And then you can count up to 5 breaths or up to 10 breaths as you wish. Each time going back to 1 whenever you do reach either 5 or 10. You keep counting in rounds of 5 or 10 breaths. So the counting is optional. You don't have to do it, but it can be helpful. The most important thing is to just stay with the breath. And if the mind wanders away to something else, like a thought, a memory, a sound, a smell, anything that isn't the breath, as soon as you notice that, let go of that other object, put it aside, bringing your awareness back to the breathing. And even if you have to do that again and again and again, don't lose patience with yourself. Continue to remain calm and patient, kind to yourself, and persistent in just bringing your mind, your awareness back to the breath again and again. So let's try that for 10 minutes. Okay, so if you find that it's difficult to stay focused on the breath and there's lots of thoughts coming up, distracting your mind, don't be surprised. Um, Trying to meditate at the end of the day is actually particularly challenging if you were busy during the day, going here and there, doing things, meeting people, and having things happen to you, and so on. Then in the evening, there's still thoughts and feelings related to those activities, and we might also still be processing some of the things that happened to us. We may have had some emotional reaction and didn't really have time to process it during the day. And so our mind is still kind of working with that. And this is one reason why it's recommended that we meditate in the morning, first thing in the morning. That's usually a better time to meditate. And some meditators even get up 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. I know that's hard for a lot of people, but early morning, the environment is very quiet. Most people are still asleep. Even the animals and the birds are still asleep. And there's not much traffic on the road. And so, yeah, the world around us is more quiet. And also, it's the start of the day, so we haven't yet had things going on that we have to process. Our mind is kind of fresh and clear, hopefully, if we had a good sleep. Yes, so for those reasons, it's said to be good to meditate in the morning. You can actually meditate any time of the day, but the morning has some advantages to this time, late afternoon, early evening, it's a little harder. Another benefit of meditating in the morning is that it's a good way to start your day. If you do some meditation in the morning, even just a little bit, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, hopefully it will put you into a good state of mind, a more peaceful, positive state of mind. And then you have that state of mind that you take with you into whatever you're going to be doing during the day, work, school, meeting people, and so on. And you start off with a better state of mind than if you didn't do any meditation. And so things will probably go better for you. Yeah, you'll be nicer to people. You'll, be more positive about the things that happen to you and so on. So, yeah, so Michael, if you could put the slides up, I have some things I wanted to talk about. I did want to talk about these things last week, but I ran out of time. Okay, so in the Tibetan tradition, it's recommended that we follow certain steps in our practice of meditation, and these can be summarized into four. Four steps. First is to sit. And last week I explained the best posture, the most ideal posture for sitting. And I think you should be able to get copies of the slides. So if you don't remember all the points in each class, you can get the slides and use those. So yeah, sit in a position that's comfortable, but also conducive for meditation, like keeping your back straight and so on. It's not so good to slouch. You sit in a crooked way. Good to keep the back straight. And then it's also good to spend some time relaxing and settling down in the present moment. So today I guided you through a sort of body scan, a short body scan to go through the body and see if there's tension anywhere and just consciously let go of tension and relax each part of the body. So you can do that on your own if you want. Some people like to do it the opposite way that I did, going from the feet up to the head. I like going from the head down. So you can do it however you like. That's up to you. And you can spend as much time as you want. You can do it, 10, 15 minutes just relaxing, or do it really quick in 1 minute. But that is very helpful. You may have noticed that kind of going through the body and relaxing it part by part before we start some other meditation. It does help you in your meditation. And then number 2 is motivate. We didn't do that tonight, but it is good to do. Our teachers, the teachers in the Tibetan tradition, say that there's 2 important parts to any activity we do, especially anything related to the Dharma, the spiritual path. And that is to motivate at the beginning and dedicate at the end. So those 2 things are like nice bookends, like holding together our activities like meditation or study or anything that we do, even working, walking, doing something to help another person and so on. So motivation, this means just why we're doing what we're doing. What is our reason, our purpose, our intention? And I think we're not always aware of what our motion, there's always some motivation in our mind. We're not always aware of it. But sometimes our motivation may not be very positive. Yeah. Like we might even have a negative motivation. We want to hurt somebody. We want to cheat somebody. We want to deceive somebody. So having a motivation like that is not good. Instead, we try to have a motivation that is positive, that is beneficial, especially bodhicitta. So bodhicitta means wanting to benefit all living beings, wanting them to be happy, wanting them to not suffer, wanting to do what we can to bring them happiness and relieve their suffering. So that's, what's called bodhicitta or altruism. And if you're comfortable with that, if you feel, yeah, that's a good motivation, that's the motivation that I want to have, then you can just in your own words, you can just say something to yourself to generate that kind of motivation. And there's one example here, very short one, saying, may this benefit all beings. So when you start to meditate, you just feel, I want this meditation to be beneficial for everybody, for all beings. And you can elaborate on that. You can make it longer. You can say, oh, may it help everyone have happiness and be free of suffering. May it help everyone be kind to each other and stop fighting and so on. So yeah, you can, say whatever you want, but at least that's a very short one. May this benefit all beings. And it said that, yeah, if we have such a motivation at the beginning of our practice, then it makes the whole practice that we're doing very beneficial, very powerful. It's the Tibetan Lamas say that every action that we do brings results. Everything we do will bring results. And the main factor that determines what kind of results we experience is the motivation that we have. So if we do something with a good motivation, then the results will be good. If we do something with bad motivation, the results will be bad. And so they say it's really, really important to always try to do things with a good motivation. And then that way we bring good results. And then number 3 is meditate. So that means doing whatever practice you plan to do. So it's good. There's lots of different kinds of meditations. We'll be learning a few different kinds of meditations in this course, but there's many others as well. So it's good before you sit down and start to meditate to decide what you're going to do, which kind of practice you're going to do. And not be sitting there thinking, oh, should I do this? Should I do that? You could spend your whole time, wondering what to do and not get around to doing anything. So it's good to have a plan and then follow your plan. Okay, I'm going to do meditation on the breath, or I'm going to do meditation on loving kindness or whatever. And then do what you plan to do. And then as you're doing this practice, really try your best to stay focused and not get distracted. And if you do get distracted, that's normal. It's hard to avoid. Then bring your attention back to the practice whenever it does wander away. Yeah, and it's best not to switch to some different practice partway through. It's best to stick with the practice that you started with. You can always, if you suddenly feel like, oh, I really want to do some other practice, then you can do that later. You can say to yourself, okay, I'll do that later. I'll finish this one first, and then I can do that one another time or tomorrow or whatever. So yeah, it's not good to switch partway through your practice because it's not a good habit to develop. And you're not really consistent. You're not able to stay focused on what you're doing. And then 4th is dedicate. So this is related to the motivation. So at the beginning, like here, we have the motivation of wanting to benefit all beings. May this meditation be beneficial for all beings. So then at the end, you dedicate. When we do meditation or some other kind of Dharma activity, like listening to teachings or studying, we do create merit, positive energy. That's the cause of happiness, cause of good stuff happening to us in the future. And so, but we can share that merit, that positive energy with others. So this is very much a Buddhist practice, is sharing the merit, sharing the positive energy. So we can again use our own words. We can say, may this bring benefit to all beings. May it help all beings be happy. May it bring an end to all war, and so on. You can also make very specific dedications, like if some family member is sick or going through difficulties, you can dedicate for them. May they have peace and happiness. May they be free of their suffering. Yeah, so it's fine to dedicate to specific people, specific beings, but it's also good to dedicate to everyone else. May that person be happy and free of suffering, as well as all other beings. I wish all beings to be happy and free of suffering. So something like that. Okay, so this is what's recommended by our teachers to have those 4 parts, especially the motivation and the dedication. They really emphasize the importance of that. Okay, so here's some other points of advice about practice. It is best if we practice on a regular basis and not just, once in a while when we feel like it, but really make it part of our life, similar to brushing our teeth. Yeah. It would be kind of strange to go a day without brushing our teeth. Our mouth would probably feel really yucky anyway. But yeah, just as we do things every day to take care of our body, hygiene, physical hygiene, then it's also good to do something every day for our mind, like mental hygiene. The Dalai Lama talks about this. He says meditation is like mental hygiene, cleaning up our mind, fixing up our mind, making sure our mind is healthy and in a good state. So it's best to do meditation in that way, to do it regularly every day if possible. Try not to let a long period of time go by without doing it. Okay, so here's just some points of advice. Number one says it is best to have a teacher, but choose carefully. So it is possible to learn meditation from books, from apps, from, online videos and so on. So there are people who do that, who just, don't actually meet a teacher and learn from a teacher, but they just learn how to do it and then they practice on their own. But this is a little difficult because if you face problems, you face difficulties, you don't have anyone you can ask questions. What do I do about this? And yeah, so it is really best to have someone you can connect with and ask questions to and follow their guidance. And that's how it's been all along since the time of the Buddha. Of course, at the time of the Buddha, there were no apps, no internet, no, not even books. If you wanted to learn meditation, you looked for a teacher and went to the teacher and asked for teachings, and then you stayed with that teacher and followed their guidance. So that was the only way. And it was probably like that for a long time until recently, when we have books and internet and so on. Yeah, so traditionally it is best to have a teacher. However, we do have to be careful when it comes to teachers and not just take anybody as a teacher. Um, so there are people who may set themselves up as teachers, but they don't have the right motivation. They may have a very crooked motivation, wanting fame, wanting money, even wanting to abuse others. So we do have to be careful and not just buy into whatever somebody says, but get a feeling. Yeah, get a feeling for the person who's teaching, Do they seem like a kind person? And how is their behavior? That's really, really important to check their behavior. Are they behaving ethically? Are they really benefiting others or are they harming them? So unfortunately, there's lots of stories. I've been very fortunate in my experience meeting really wonderful, kind teachers, but I've heard stories of other teachers who were really, really very harmful. So be careful about that. And yeah, don't just take anyone as a teacher. And And then number two says meditation can be done anytime, but early morning is recommended. So that's what I talked about before. The advantages of meditating in the early morning. But, for some people that may be hard because of your schedule, maybe you have small children and you have to get up early and take care of them first before you can do anything else, or you have a job and you have to get too early. I mean, some people are not morning persons, they're night persons, and then mornings, their mind is just not good. It's foggy, it's unclear, they can't focus. And so, even though it's recommended that we meditate in the early morning, if that doesn't suit you, then it's fine to do it another time. You can do it in the evening, you can do it in the middle of the day, you can do it anytime. There's no rule about that. Number three, so it's recommended that we start with short sessions of meditation. And what does it mean by short? Um, some teachers say even just 5 minutes. So 5 minutes, that's short. It's not too long, although it can seem long if you have trouble concentrating. It can seem like an eternity. But anyway, you know, that's, one idea of a short session, 5 minutes or maybe 10 minutes. And then as you get better, as you get more experience with the practice, then you can gradually extend the time and do it a little bit longer, 10 minutes, 15, 20, and so on. But it's better to start with short sessions rather than trying to push yourself. Some people might think, I have to sit for an hour. My friend, they've been meditating and they meditate for an hour every day. So I have to do that too. I have to sit for an hour. And so if you force yourself to sit for an hour, then that you might be asking for trouble because you'll start to get maybe very uncomfortable, very restless. Your mind will start freaking out. And then you may end up thinking, oh, this is terrible. This is like torture. I don't want to do this anymore. And then give up. That can happen. Whereas if you do just a short session of 5 minutes and you still feel comfortable and your mind is okay for 5 minutes, then you think, okay, I can do that. I can manage that. And then you want to do it again. You want to keep doing it. So that's why they say it's better to do short and a simple practice. Start with something simple. Simple means, there are some practices that are very complex, like doing very complicated visualizations or very complicated reflections, like on emptiness and so on. Those are not simple. But compared to those, simple practices would be mindfulness, which is very popular nowadays, meditation on the breath. So start with something simple that isn't too complicated and challenging, and then later you can learn other practices. Number 4 says be relaxed and alert. So this is advice for when we're actually doing the practice. There's like two situations or two modes of being that we should try to avoid. One is being tight and tense, and that can be physical, like physically, really tight. That's why I said it's good to do some relaxation first so that you're relaxed physically. But tension can also be in terms of our attitude. Like we may have this idea, I have to keep my mind focused on my breath and not wander away even for a split second. So it's like we're kind of imposing on ourselves really strict guidelines, strict rules about how we should practice and what should happen. So that's another meaning of being tense and tight. So it's like mentally, psychologically tense and tight. And that doesn't work. It doesn't help to be like that, to be really like hard on yourself, strict with yourself. So instead, it's important to be relaxed. Relaxed means physically relaxed rather than tense, but it also means mentally relaxed. Having an open mind to whatever happens in your meditation. You want, you want to be able to keep your mind focused on your practice, but you also know that, yeah, it'll probably wander away. You'll have other thoughts coming up, other things might happen that you don't expect. And so you're kind of prepared for that. You're ready for that. You don't get all upset and uptight if things don't go as you would like. I don't know if you understand what I'm talking about, but this definitely can happen. I've had it happen to me in the beginning when I first started practicing meditation. I was very unrelaxed, very tight, very tense. I had very high expectations of myself. I wanted to be just like my teacher. Yeah, exactly like my teacher. I thought that's how I have to be. And I tried to make myself that way, and it just didn't work. I got really a little bit crazy. So I had to learn the hard way. But maybe everyone has to go through that to a certain extent. So be relaxed, but then alert. So alert, like, because if we hear, oh, relax, be relaxed, then we might think, oh, that means like, oh, I can just, sit any way I want and, look around the room and do anything I want with my mind, let my mind just go anywhere. So that's too relaxed. We don't want to be too relaxed. Um, and or even falling asleep, like you're sitting there and you're falling asleep. So we don't want to do that. So alert means you're awake, your mind is clear, fresh, awake, and you are focused on your practice rather than going everywhere. So the Buddha, there's a story about the Buddha giving advice to one meditator, one of his disciples who was having this kind of problem of sometimes being tight, sometimes being too relaxed, too loose. And the Buddha used the analogy of a stringed instrument like a guitar. And there's always these, I think they're called keys, at the top of the guitar that you turn to tighten the string or loosen the string. And so you have to play with that key and find just the right degree of tightness so that the string makes the right sound, the beautiful sound. Yeah. If it's too tight, then it makes this kind of twangy sound, which isn't very nice. Or if it's too loose, it makes this other kind of sound, which isn't very nice. And so you have to keep, going back and forth with the key until you find just the right tension so that the string will make just the right sound, just the right note. And so the Buddha said it's similar with yourself, with your mind when you're meditating. You need to kind of work with your mind to try to find that balanced state, which is neither too loose, too relaxed, nor too tight. Yeah. So this is something each person has to find on their own. Nobody can do it for you. So sometimes we might go a little bit too far one way, other times we go too far the other way. So we have to kind of eventually find the middle way that works for us. So that's the meaning of that point number 4, relaxed rather than tight and tense, and alert rather than sloppy and loose and, not focused on the practice. And number 5 is try to practice every day or at least a few times a week. So I've already talked about that as well, that it is good to have a regular practice and not let a long period of time go by in between one practice and another. Like you practice today and then next month you do again. And then after 2 months you do it again. So in that way you won't really get better. It's similar with, learning to meditate is kind of similar to learning other things like how to play a musical instrument or how to drive a car or how to learn a new language. So it's good to keep up practicing every day, and then that way you get better. If you only do it once in a while, you'll never get really good at it. And then number 6 says having avoid unrealistic expectations. So this is actually not easy to do because I think we always do have expectations. Whatever we do, we tend to expect that we will have certain experiences. Good experiences, of course. We, we always want good experiences. So what can happen with meditation is that we may start meditating with the expectation that it's going to be easy. We're going to have fantastic experiences. We may have heard about other people who had experiences, even bliss or these amazing, fantastic experiences going out of their body, going to other worlds or whatever. Yeah. And I don't know, maybe the media, I don't really watch movies and TV and so on, but maybe in the media there's this kind of thing, somebody meditates and then they have these amazing experiences. They can fly or whatever. I don't know. So we may get ideas and think, oh, that's going to happen to me. I want that to happen. And if I meditate, that will happen to me. And then if it doesn't, of course, we're going to get upset. So this is the danger of having expectations. If what we expect doesn't happen, we may get upset, we may get disappointed, we may even have, think meditation is useless and not want to do it anymore. So yeah, Lama Yeshe used to say to us, don't have any expectations when you meditate. Don't have any expectations. And I've heard that from other teachers as well. And the thing is, if we have expectations, that's coming from our ego. That's coming from our sense of I, me, big important I want that. I want that experience. Yeah. And so there's ego, and there's also kind of grasping, craving, wanting. So that very state of mind, self-centered grasping, itself puts up obstacles to having experiences. I mean, there are good things that can happen from the practice of meditation, but they're not going to happen by us grasping at them, with our ego, with self-centeredness and greed. So those states of mind are actually just putting up obstacles for the good things that do come from meditation. As long as that's going on in our mind, we're actually kind of pushing away those good experiences instead of getting closer to them. Yeah. So think about that. And then if you do notice that your mind is kind of grasping, I want this to happen, I want that to happen, then just recognize that isn't right. That put aside, let go of that attitude. Say no to that attitude. Don't let yourself get caught up in that attitude. So if you can just practice for the sake of practicing, for the sake of all living beings, to bring benefit and happiness to all living beings. So that's a much better state of mind to have rather than grasping at experiences. And then, yeah, if you have the right state of mind, the right attitude, the right motivation, then the good things will happen. The good experiences will happen. Okay. And then number 7 is get advice from your teacher if you do encounter difficulties or strange experiences. So, yeah, people sometimes have strange things happen when they meditate. I've heard some interesting stories from people. Sometimes they feel as if their body is floating off the ground. And they open their eyes and they see, no, their body is still sitting there on the ground. So it just feels like it's floating. or they feel like their body is moving one way or the other, one side or the other, and it's actually not happening. Or sometimes just strange kind of images will appear in your mind. Um, Certain types of thoughts, images, feelings that you didn't have before. So, yeah, if these things happen, understand that it is normal. I mean, it does happen. Maybe it doesn't happen to everybody, but it does happen to some people. And so you shouldn't worry about it. You shouldn't think, oh no, what's this? What's happening to me? And get worried and scared about it. Don't try not to react in that way. The best approach is to just ignore it. Just treat it in the same way you would treat thoughts or memories or any other distraction. And it's just some experience that's happening, and then, notice it, let it go back to your object of meditation, like the breath or whatever. And if you do that, if you just kind of ignore it and keep going with your practice, it should disappear. It should pass. However, if it doesn't, if it keeps happening, then it's good to check with a teacher or someone who has more experience in meditation. So one reason this can happen is because doing meditation is something unusual. It's unusual to sit still and focus on something like the breath or some contemplation. This is an unusual activity, both for our body and for our mind. And so because it's something unusual, something new, then this can cause changes in our body and or our mind. And that's why, there are these unusual experiences. And so, yeah, it's kind of normal. It's a normal part of the process of learning meditation and developing a practice of meditation. And so it's best not to worry about it. Also, don't get attached. Another thing that can happen is you might get really excited and thinking, oh, wow, maybe I'm almost enlightened, I'm getting closer to enlightenment. And this is some experience that's showing me I'm getting enlightened. So that's also not good to get all excited and make something out of it that, yeah, it isn't true. So just try not to get emotionally involved, react emotionally, and then just notice it, let it go back to your object of meditation, and it should pass. And if it doesn't, and it's something worrying, then check with teacher. Okay, so then there's one more slide with some advice on different kinds of problems that can happen. So these are things that many people experience when they try to meditate, and there are things we can do about them if they happen. So number one is wandering mind, also known as distraction. So this is when our mind doesn't want to stay on our object, like the breath, and it's going other places. Other thoughts come up, or we hear sounds and get distracted by the sounds. Okay, so it's, wandering away from our object. So there's no magic remedy to this problem. We just have to keep returning to our meditation object. So whatever your object is, like the breath, or if you're doing analytical meditation on some topic, you just have to keep coming back to that object. And it's like training the mind. One meditation teacher, Jack Kornfield, used the analogy of training a puppy. So if you're, one of the things you usually train a puppy to do is sit. So you tell the dog, sit. You want the dog to sit in this place. And so the dog will sit for maybe 1-2 seconds, and then it'll jump up and want to run away. And so you bring it back again, sit. And, it takes a while, but eventually the puppy will learn to obey you and sit when you tell it to sit. So it's similar with our mind. Our mind is a bit like a puppy, very active, very energetic, very hard to stay still. So we have to just keep telling our mind, come back to the breath, stay on the breath. So we have to keep saying that to ourselves again and again and again. And gradually, it does get better. The second point there is focus on the breath until the mind calms down. So this means, like, if you're doing some other practice, if you're meditating on something else, like you're doing an analytical meditation, but your mind just doesn't stay still, it's going everywhere, then you could just pause that meditation and focus on the breath for a while. And that has the effect of calming the mind down. And once it is more calm, then you can go back to your other object, whatever you were meditating on. And the third point is think of a sobering topic like impermanence or suffering. So we haven't gotten to that yet, although some of you probably have heard of those topics. But yeah, those are topics of analytical meditation, the thinking, contemplation, meditation. And those have the effect of making the mind kind of more sober or serious rather than woo, whoopee, all excited. So thinking about impermanence, that, oh, everything is impermanent, nothing is permanent, nothing, things are subject to change, nothing's going to last. So I don't know if we'll have time in this course to do that meditation, but that's one topic that can kind of bring our mind more down to earth rather than being flighty, flying all over the place. Another topic is suffering, the first noble truth, where the Buddha pointed out all the different kinds of problems and suffering in the world. So that one also has the effect of bringing us down to earth and being more serious about our practice instead of kind of too excited. Then number 2 is dullness and sleepiness. So this is another common problem. Dullness is just a kind of heavy state of mind. If you've ever tried to meditate right after eating a big meal, then you'll probably experience dullness because all the energy of your body is going into digesting your meal, and you don't have much energy left to meditate. And so your mind just feels kind of heavy and dull. So they actually say it's better not to meditate right after eating. Do something else first. Do some exercise. Maybe wait an hour before meditating. And then sleepiness is a further development of that, where you're actually like nodding off and even maybe starting to have dreams. Your mind is starting to dream. So this can happen. So if that's happening when you're trying to meditate, some remedies are sit up straight. Maybe your body is kind of slouched. So sitting up straight can help you wake up. And also open your eyes. Having the eyes closed leads to sleepiness. Having them open a little bit with light coming in can help you to stay awake. You can also imagine light. You can visualize yourself filled with light, as if someone has turned on a bright light inside of you. And if those don't work, another thing is think of an uplifting topic. So there's certain topics of analytical meditation that uplift the mind, make the mind more bright and kind of not excited, but just joyful, happy, positive, such as the precious human life. So that's like a whole meditation in itself, where you contemplate how fortunate we are to be born as a human being and have the opportunity to learn about the path to enlightenment and practice it. And wow, aren't we fortunate what we can do with this fortunate life? So that's like a very uplifting topic. So contemplating that just for a few minutes can help you to raise up your energy out of dullness and sleepiness. And then the third one here is discomfort or pain. So this is, yeah, this again is pretty normal. And one thing we can do is, if, let's say, you have pain in your knee, is you can just briefly put your attention to that place and tell yourself to relax. It's kind of like what we did at the beginning with this going through the body and relaxing different parts of the body. So just like kind of like put loving, kind attention at that part of the body and just tell yourself, relax, let go. Because often discomfort is because of tension. There's tension there in that place. And if you just consciously let go of the tension, relax the tension, then that can let go of the discomfort as well. Another thing you can try doing is breathing into that place. You imagine as you're inhaling, breathing in, and you're sending the air to that place in the body where there's pain or discomfort. And that can loosen the tension, and the pain or discomfort will go away. But if it doesn't go away, and if it's still painful, very uncomfortable, it is okay to change your position. So it's not that you have to sit absolutely still and never move during meditation. It is okay to move, although it's better to not move too often. Just only do it when you really have to. But if you do move, change your position, then do so quietly and mindfully. Not do it in a noisy way, especially if you're in a group meditating. And if you make a lot of noise, it can disturb the other people around you. But even if you're by yourself, I think it's good to just learn to move more slowly and quietly and mindfully, rather than in a very jerky, noisy kind of way. So those are just some points about practice. And maybe you have some questions. Maybe some of you have a question you'd like to ask about some experience you've had with meditation that you don't know how to deal with. So you can raise your hand. There's a little function on the little key where you can raise your hand.
Venerable, I have a question.
Sorry?
I have a question.
Yeah.
We frequently focus on the breath, but obviously you can focus on other things. For me, I find it when I focus on the breath, I find my mind wanders more than if I focus on sound around me. Um, and as is there a difference when you focus on those different things, like either the sound or if maybe I had a I mean, I don't do this very often, but maybe I had a candle burning in front of me and I was trying to focus on the light or something else other than breath? Because for me, when I focus on the breath, I find my mind tends to be a lot more monkeyish than when I focus on the sound around me.
Yeah. Um, it depends on what kind of practice you're doing. I won't talk about this till next week, but there's different kinds of meditations for different purposes. And if what you're trying to develop is concentration, you're trying to train your mind to have concentration, single point of concentration, then it's said that you can use just about any object. I mean, there are certain recommended objects in the teachings. The breath is one of them. And there are also some analytical objects like emptiness or the nature of the mind or loving kindness. But it's also said that just in general, you can develop concentration with any object. Um, um, so yeah, not everyone finds the breath easy or suitable object, and so it's completely fine if you want to do something else. You shouldn't feel you have to use the breath. Um, so I'm trying to remember some stories that I've heard. Oh yeah, there was one time I was teaching a class on meditation, and I would start with meditation on the breath, and I would also teach other practices. And one of the practices we did was a visualization meditation, a simple visualization. And afterwards, one woman said that she found that meditation much more suitable because she was trying to give up smoking. And she found that when doing meditation on the breath, she just kept thinking about smoking again and again. But with the visualization practice, because it was more, there's more to do, more to keep her mind occupied, then she didn't think about smoking. So that was her experience. So yeah, everyone has different experiences. So I think, yeah, if you can try different practices and find something that is more suitable for you, then that's completely fine.
Thank you.
And we will, as we go along, we will try out some other kinds of practices so that you get a kind of taste of other ways of doing meditation. There's many different ones. In fact, I was thinking of leading a different one tonight, although it's still related to the breath, but a little different. It's sort of a purification practice related to the breathing, and um, something that Lama Zopa Rinpoche taught his students. And so I thought we could do that together for just the remaining few minutes of our session. So so make yourselves comfortable once again, and try to sit up straight and be relaxed. You can keep your eyes open a little bit if you're feeling tired and you might fall asleep. So keeping the eyes open can help you stay awake. And once again, turn your attention to your breathing. Just let the breath be normal, natural rhythm. But now With each exhalation of your breath, imagine that if there's any negative energy in your body or mind, such as any kind of physical negative energy, like feeling sick or any kind of pain or discomfort, imagine that going out with your breath in the form of smoke or fog. So you're breathing out that physical discomfort or sickness, and it goes out of you and it just vanishes in space. It just disappears. Don't worry about where it goes. Just imagine it disappearing. So in that way, you get rid of physical discomfort, pain, negative energy. And do the same with any negative energy in the mind. Like if there's any maybe irritation, unhappiness, depression, yeah, so any kind of unhappy, negative mental states, thoughts, feelings, imagine them going out of you in the form of smoke or fog. And you breathe out that negative energy, goes out and just vanishes, disappears in space. So do that with each exhalation and feel that you're cleaning yourself out, freeing yourself from any negative energy in your body and your mind. And now focus on the inhalation. And as you inhale, imagine you're breathing in pure, beautiful energy, positive energy. You can think of the energy of the Buddhas, the Bodhisattvas, or any other beings who are full of love, compassion, kindness, wisdom, and all these other good qualities. So imagine that energy coming into you with your breath, breathing in. And imagine it goes all through your body to every cell, molecule, atom of your body, filling you completely with this beautiful, pure, positive energy. So it fills your body, it also fills your mind. Your mind gets filled with positive energy, love and compassion and wisdom and so on. So you can continue without visualization, breathing in positive energy, breathing out negative energy. And so your body and mind are getting more and more clean, clear, pure, and positive. So because we didn't have much time, I kept that short, but that gives you some idea of this practice. And it's something you could do as a preparation before doing other meditations to help you get in a better state of body and mind. Or you could do the whole session with that. I met somebody once who said he just really liked this practice and he would just do it for a whole session, breathing in the positive, breathing out the negative. And yeah. So we've run out of time. If you do have any questions coming up between now and next week, you can send them to the center. Venerable Dundrop will forward them to me, and then I can answer them in the next session. So next week we'll look at some other points about meditation and try some other practices. So in the meantime, again, between now and next week, continue doing the practice. You could do the just meditation on the breath that we learned last week, or you can do this one that we just did. Rinpoche called it purification meditation, so purifying negative energy and filling ourselves with positive energy. So either one of those two or both. You could do both together if you want. So let's make a dedication, a mental dedication of the positive energy that we created tonight during this session. Learning about meditation, doing meditation with a positive motivation, wanting to benefit others. So we definitely created some good energy. So now let's mentally share that energy with others, with all beings. May it bring them peace and happiness, and may it help them have more positive thoughts and feelings in their minds and be free of suffering and confusion and all the states of mind that just make them unhappy. Okay, so thank you for joining. Thank you, Michael, for hosting, facilitating. See you
Thank
next.
you so much.